Terry County Tractor.
Welcome back. An area rancher was recognized this past week for his efforts in habitat management and wildlife conservation. In this week's Focus on Ag, our Parker Schaffner introduces us to Stan Adcock and tells us what makes his ranch so special.
I always wanted to be a cowboy, but I never made it up to cowboy, but I did make it up to rancher.
Stan Adcock and his father bought Adcock Ranch October 1st, 1984.
My dad was a Methodist preacher and we moved around from town to town and he'd buy a property here and there. And I was working as a stockbroker and I started looking for a smaller ranch and my dad found that, and so we became partners.
The ranch near Pep, Texas is 5,500 acres of shortgrass prairie.
We originally had a crop out there of wheat and milo, and then we put it all in CRP.
Stan seeded his CRP fields with native grasses and forbs, something that caught the eye of biologist Sam Harriman with Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Back in the 80s, whenever he enrolled it, a lot of folks were putting in non-native grass species in their fields through this program, but he had the foresight to include some native species. Since then, he's also gone up and broadcast additional seeds across those fields to promote diversity.
It's no secret that we live in a drought-prone area. Right now, many ranches have a lack of forage. However, that's not the case at Adcock Ranch.
I control my vegetation by having less cattle, not getting rid of all my cattle, but just limiting the number of cows I have.
Harriman says that forage holds in soil moisture and promotes soil health. It also benefits ground nesting birds and provides fawning cover for deer.
And he also has a grazing program where after a pasture is grazed, it has months and months of rest and recovery from grazing. So, his pastures just look phenomenal.
But that's not all. Adcock Ranch has a salt lake with active springs named Silver Lake. It was an important part of the historic Trail of Living Waters. Stan has worked tirelessly to ensure salt cedar, an invasive species, doesn't dry it up.
I've killed salt cedar around the lake. It took me 3 years to get the salt cedar done.
For his efforts, Harriman nominated Stan for this year's Lone Star Land Steward Awards. He went on to win the High Plains Eco Region Award.
I was flattered. To me, it's like a lifetime achievement.
Stan hopes his kids will continue to keep the ranch and operate it on a conservative basis.
I've had it for 40 years, and I'd like for it to be in our family for another 40 years, or 50 years, or 100 years.
For this week's Focus on Ag, I'm Parker Schaffner.